Former Ghana Defence Force GDF Captain Daniel Seeram has stated that he is not surprised by the Court of Appeal's ruling in a discussion on Benchcop Radio with host Mark Benchcop on Thursday evening. The captain and host were at the time discussing the state of the electoral process in the country. Seeram, in addressing issues related to Order 60 of 2020, which activated the national recount exercise, expressed the view that the order should either be used in its entirety or not at all.
My take on it is that you either use Order 60 in its entirety, which will satisfy all Guyanese, rather than partially, which will only satisfy one party or one stakeholder in these election processes.
Seeram's party, the APNU AFC, has been contending that Order 60 of 2020 is unconstitutional and therefore could not be upheld as a valid order. The party further contested that other parties and their agents who contested the 2020 elections have been pushing for one aspect of the order to be upheld while ignoring another key element of the order. Order 60 of 2020 was agreed to by His Excellency and the leader of the opposition and had been drafted by the Elections Commission with the intervention of a high-level CARICOM team, which mediated at the onset of claims of irregularities by the PPPC and other stakeholders. The order sought to nullify or eradicate any doubts that had arisen in relation to the electoral process and undertook the counting of all ballots cast in the March 2nd election at the Artichon Conference Center over a period of 33 days. At the end of the exercise, figures reflected the PPPC in the lead with 233,336 votes and the APNU AFC trailing with 217,920 votes. But the APNU AFC maintained the claims of fraud, asserting that if only valid votes are counted, it would win. The former army captain believes that his party's main political opponent, the PPPC, is not the only agency that should carry the burden of the blame for the current electoral impasse, but also the elections body itself, comprising the chairperson, commissioners, and others.
I share the same view, but this is not only the PPP. This is the commission, chair, all the commissioners that sit there, right? Who are sitting there to allow these atrocities to unfold right before the eyes of the Guyanese public. I would not say, right, that hey, something is wrong here. The chairperson is on record many times stating that there's fraud. The entire recount was littered with fraud.
Co-campaign manager of the coalition party, Joseph Harmon, had previously stated that fraud was uncovered during the national recount exercise, and this was brought to the attention of Gecom, which had agreed to examine same. The chairperson of Gecom, however, in asking the chief elections officer, Keith Lowenfield, to prepare a report for a declaration of results, had requested of him to compile that report using the tally of votes from the national recount exercise, which the coalition party has repeatedly said is marred in fraud. The PPPC, along with several minority parties, have all stated that the coalition needs to produce evidence of fraud and that these allegations ought to be addressed via an election petition. The matter was extensively litigated and adjudicated by several courts, including Guyana's apex court, the Caribbean Court of Justice, CCJ, all of which have upheld both Order 60 and the national recount as being credible and valid. Several countries have also thrown their support behind the recount figures, citing that it is credible and was observed by a number of authorized officials in a transparent manner. Seeram continued with his tirade questioning the rationality of swearing in a government that could be deemed as illegitimate given the circumstances surrounding the declaration.
Our commissioners were the first persons to make the most legitimate have the most legitimate of reasoning and saying, let's go for a non-declaration or if we can nullify these elections. Yet no one wanted to nullify the elections because of fraud. They prefer to go back to the fraud numbers and try, and I say try because they're trying very hard to swear in a government illegitimately.
Mr. Seeram, in preferring his party's position, expressed that valid votes only must be counted.
I will tell you that our party stands firm on the basis that no government will be sworn into office based on fraudulent votes. Only valid votes. Valid votes that lead to a final credible count, which lead to a legitimate declaration.
Wendell Badrie for HGP Nightly News.